Namaste all. I am Dr. Jyoti Bhattandkar, Professor of Oral Pathology at Government Medical College in Hospital, Aurangabad. To begin with COVID-19 and dentistry, I will be highlighting the etiopathogenesis of the disease. COVID-19, as we all know, is caused by a novel coronavirus, so novel that it is first time was detected in human beings, and so very little was known about it. No vaccine, no treatment, and hence it incited a lot of studies on this virus. And it was found that the virus is similar to that of MERS and SARS. It showed 80% similarity with the SARS virus. And so the study group on coronaviruses labeled it as severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. The recent data shows that more than 50 lakhs of cases have been detected across 216 countries globally. And the figure is increasing day by day. The disease was declared as public health emergency of international concern on 30th of January 2020. And now COVID-19 has been declared as pandemic on 11th of March. Now what is this coronavirus? This is an SEM picture. This is an SEM picture of the coronavirus. It is a single-stranded RNA virus which has a lipid envelope, which is studded with club-shaped spike proteins. And this gives it a corona or crown-like appearance. The virus is a respiratory virus and causes diseases from mild common cold to severe respiratory syndromes, as has been observed in MERS, SARS, and now COVID-19. It is also known to cause the disease in many species of animals as well as human beings. In the group of coronaviruses, the beta coronaviruses are known to cause the diseases on human beings, that is MERS and SARS-CoV-2. How the disease is transmitted? It has a zoonotic transmission. The bats have been found to carry the coronavirus genome, and there is an intraspecies transmission as well as there is an interspecies transmission, and this leads to transmission in human beings, and further the disease is transmitted in the human being. Now what are the transmission routes? The virus infects the respiratory tract, and hence sneezing, coughing, or even talking can release the virus in the air. And this airborne viruses, they infect the people who are in close contact. In addition, the viruses, they settle down on the fomites, and these fomites, when they are touched by other individuals, they carry the virus. Virus contaminated hands, it may be carried to nose, mouth, or eyes when they are touched. A salivary transmission of COVID-2 also has been observed. The salivary droplets which carry the virus can cause the transmission of the disease. The virus has an RNA core and an envelope. And what is important is at the periphery, the spike protein. The spike protein is critical for binding of the virus to the host cell receptors and thus getting entry into the host cells. The spike protein has an affinity for the ACE2 receptors. The ACE2 receptors, when they spike proteins, they bind together, the virus gains entry into the cell. The virus is uncoated, and this viral genome undergoes translation and further replication, and it leads to formation of multiple virions. which are released by the cell and are responsible for transmission of the virus. When the virus affects the tissues, there is a phase of infection. It infects the cells, lung cells, intestinal cells. The further stage is acute inflammation. When there is an acute inflammation, which leads to the cytokine and chemokine release, and also immune cell activation. The immune cell activation, if there is immunity the immunity is good, it succumbs the viral infection and there is resolution of the infection. Whereas if the immunity is not good, it progresses further and causes a severe disease. The severe disease is characterized by a cytokine storm, which leads to neutropenia, lymphopenia, and further it results into ARDS, kidney injury, or organ failure. The respiratory distress observed in COVID-19 is not only because of involvement of the lung, but the virus attacks the beta chains of hemoglobin. It dissociates heme, it removes iron and converts it to porphyrin, and this further contributes to the prolonged and progressive hypoxia. Postmortem reports of COVID-19 patients have revealed venous thromboembolism associated with DIC. Now, the mechanism exact is not known, but it is probably the inflammatory response. The inflammation induces endothelial cell injury, leading to massive release of plasminogen activator, and this is associated with increased D-dimer and fibril degradation product. And hence, the increased D-dimer concentration, the reduced platelet count, and prolonged prothrombin time are being used as markers for the progression of the disease. In addition, some new diagnostic tests have also been suggested, like thromboelastography, wherein the thrombus formation is studied, the strength of the thrombus is also studied. Now, diagnosing the disease, it is the lungs which are the primary organs which are involved by the disease, and hence imaging, CT scans or X-ray of the lungs may help in the diagnosis. Another is the cytokine storm, which leads to changes in the blood cells. There is associated lymphopenia, there is increase in the D-dimers, there is neutropenia also, and these may help in diagnosis. But the confirmation is definite or definitive diagnosis is by demonstrating the viral particles in the body tissues using real-time PCR. Now, which samples have to be collected? It is the nasopharyngeal samples are being utilized for demonstrating the microorganism. But newer ongoing studies are on using the salivary samples, which is collected by the patient himself to use for the diagnosis. The advantage being, if the samples are collected by the patient, it reduces the chances of transmission to the healthcare workers or other individuals. Symptoms include systemic as well as respiratory disorders. And when a comparison is made between SARS, MERS, and COVID-19, it has been found that the receptors involved in SARS are similar to COVID-19. The incubation period is 2 to 10 days in SARS, but it is less, that is 2 to 7 days in COVID-19. And the mortality rate, which is higher in SARS, that is 10%, it is less, that is 2 to 3% in of COVID-19. The some facts which can be mentioned are the virus can persist on the surfaces like metal and glass or plastic for up to a couple of days. Therefore, contaminated surfaces that are frequently contacted in a healthcare setting are a potential source of coronavirus transmission. It is also seen that at room temperature, the virus remains infectious for 2 hours up to 9 days, and it persists better at 50% relative immunity as compared to 30%. Thus, keeping a clean and dry environment will help reducing the persistence of virus. Now, by now it is well known that the symptomatic COVID-19 patients as well as asymptomatic patients and those in the incubation period are carriers of SARS-CoV-2. And this feature has made its control extremely challenging as it's difficult to identify and quarantine these patients, which is resulting in accumulation of SARS-CoV-2 in the community. In this fight against novel coronavirus, fortifying ourselves with succinct knowledge pertaining to its cause, transmission, and prevention is as vital as exploring its cure. So, being mindful regarding the situation will enable us to better protect ourselves and our patients.